Welcome to Harrison Consulting's Sales and Management Toolbox, a set of resources for sales and account management professionals. This video tutorial is about StratPlan, Harrison Consulting's proprietary tool for sales planning at the national and regional level. It's a fully functional and customizable set of spreadsheets with annotation. And if you've downloaded copies from the website, keep them by your side so you can make a few notes. You may have also downloaded our free ebook, 10 Steps to Effective Sales Strategy, and you'll find that this book follows exactly the same sequence as the templates you're about to review here. And both of these items have been prepared for the vast majority of sales managers who are appointed based on core competencies of selling, perhaps, rather than planning and strategy. Why did you get into sales in the first place? Well, whether you identify with this very professional-looking chap here or not, the chances are that if you were asked when you first moved into the sales role, you would have nominated topics like challenge and autonomy, and dealing with a variety of people with diverse personalities, and something about being your own boss. Or maybe it was the company car, but when they gave you the keys, did they also give you a customer list, or did you have to work it all out for yourself from scratch? Maybe you were lucky, maybe this aspect of the sales role played to your strengths, but it's quite uncommon to find a salesperson who says that they were motivated by the prospects of analysis, planning, strategy, and organization. Salespeople are not natural-born strategists. In fact, if you ask successful salespeople what skills contributed to their early success, these are the sorts of things that they nominate. They basically talk about their own star qualities in terms of people skills, service, relationship building, hard work, and persistence. Again, very little mention of planning and organizing or strategy. So what happens when we move into management? Well, it's something of a double whammy, unfortunately. What sort of support did we receive then? Most likely the advice we received was based on military history. Phrases like setting the standard, leading from the front, and motivating the troops ringing in our ears. It's not surprising that we go out there thinking our role is to be some sort of super salesperson. Even if your organization has made it clear that they see you as a leader coach, an empowering leader, and even if your position description covers the broader planning and strategic aspects of the role, sales managers are rarely supported to become strategists. Of course you need to be proficient in selling skills if you're going to be the leader of the team, but those skills are not going to help you much in writing your first sales plan or your second or third. That's why this material has been put together. I guess we'd all rather be fishing in the Canadian Rockies, but I guess we should also get down to business. What we're going to do is take you through the planning tool fairly quickly to start with, and then perhaps delve into one or two of the tabs in more detail. It can be used at national or regional level. This is the cover page. It's a template that you will be getting familiar with if you've downloaded any of our ebooks or white papers. But for this particular set of templates, I draw your attention first of all to the tabs across the bottom. This series of tabs takes you through the logical process of sales planning. So let's start with an overview of the content. At Harrison Consulting, we subscribe to a fairly simple view of planning, which is that it answers three broad questions. Where are we now? Which you can see is covered here in terms of strategic analysis. Where do we want to go? Which is about destination and strategy. How shall we get there? Which is in terms of action plans and supporting resources. And a fourth question, which is, I guess, how will we know we're on track? In reality, this fourth question covers the whole process, because the feedback loops from the control and evaluation section need to link in to all of these processes. So this template is an overview of content, and for each of these red boxes there's a little bit more information through here. And of course you will probably need to customize this significantly to your own organization. It may be, for example, that you're not talking about the retail market. This template, this example of this template, is a retail focused example. So you might need to change that to distributors or to end users. You might be talking in a business to business context or a B2C context. We've formulated this set of templates on the assumption that you will need to customize it to some extent to your own world. It's not expensively priced. It's expandable, it's customizable. It's not really supported by our backup services. We don't really have the resources to do that. That's why we're making it available on our website at what you might call a giveaway price, $19.95. Australian, not US. So basically here is the contents, and we're going to move through these tabs across the bottom of the spreadsheet here, starting with an executive summary. As this drop-down hint makes clear, this executive summary is best written last, even though it's positioned at the front of the document. And there's a cross-reference panel. This is a very simple template with just 2 drop-down comments. Nothing particularly sophisticated in that tab. Similarly, in the corporate input section, there is a drop-down box that explains how to use this template. So these burgundy colored drop-down boxes are intended to make it easier for you to use this portion of the tool. There's another drop-down box here which classifies development priorities in terms of the well-known ANSOF matrix, products and markets, and also in terms of cost control initiatives or expansion plans. What we're talking about here are the things that are being done within your business that make a difference to the sales plan. This isn't really the sales plan. This is the overall corporate direction. It's important to note that these are not sales and new business objectives for the retail sales plan. They come later. Let's move to the external analysis. Here we present you with a couple of tools that are quite useful. We subscribe to the view that external analysis needs to be conducted at 2 levels of depth. The macro environment, which responds very well to the well-known model of PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E, which is explained here. And then within that, the microenvironment, which responds quite well to Michael Porter's 5 forces of competitive rivalry and strategic competitive advantage. And over here are the drop-down cell boxes, which give you guidance and clarification on how to address the issues listed at the left-hand side. Again, guidance is given on how to use this template. It explains the PESTLE model, and it explains Porter's 5 forces. Let's move forward to the next tab, which is sales splits. It may well be that some of you are very well resourced with CRMs or mainframe systems. It may be that this kind of information is actually available already within your business. So we're not suggesting that you reinvent the wheel. If that kind of data is available to you, then all you really need to do is make a reference to it here, or a link. Perhaps your IT people could support you by building a web link or an internal intranet link to the relevant source. For the purposes of a national retail sales plan, you probably do need a summary format, something like this. And in this case, we've covered a number of different categories, as they tend to be called in retail, and then a summary across all categories, which actually is a very, very top-line profit and loss statement in terms of the kind of cost components that a national sales manager would be responsible for. It's obviously important to keep track on the cost of discounts, free stock, advertising, promotional spend, trade spend, and the overall profitability of our relationship with our customer base. Moving to the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, we believe, is still a valuable tool, even though it has come in for some critical comment. In fact, you'll find some interesting blog posts. Well, I think they're interesting. Whether you will or not is up to you. But there are some blog posts about SWOT analysis as a strategic tool. There's even a SWOT analysis on SWOT analysis if you're interested. If used properly, SWOT analysis is a powerful tool. It needs to link into competitive advantage, priority setting, and action indicated. So it's not just SWOT, it's so what. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to leverage strengths and weaknesses? On the next page, we show how to do that. By the way, this page in particular is very well equipped with drop-down boxes and suggestions for checklists that you can use within the SWOT analysis. Moving into strategy, this talks about turning SWOT into strategy, and it introduces the concept of key success factors and defines them for you in the box at the right hand side. So, for example, strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Typically, we would try to highlight linkages between strengths and that would allow us to overcome weaknesses or exploit opportunities or counter threats. Weaknesses perhaps a little more complex. They're actually explained here in a bit more detail, and how that then becomes a strategy statement. And there's guidance here on how to write a strategic statement, or some people might call it a strategic positioning statement. Moving across into our action plans, SMART objectives, we subscribe to specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and timed objectives. Action plans, responsibilities and timings, and a monitoring panel, which is also an important part of the process, the fourth phase of how will we know we're on track. There are a few panels at the end here, or a few templates at the end, which may or may not be required in every sales plan. Red flags is an approach for looking at factors which might significantly change the scenario. Usually these are factors outside your control, so your contingency plans will be about assessing the likelihood and the severity of those red flags and what needs to be done to counter those should they occur. This template is actually very similar to the previous action plan template. And at the end there are two working spreadsheets. And let me look at the second one first of all, which is an opportunity grid. SWOT grid for opportunity assessment. Again, equipped with drop-down boxes. This is a working spreadsheet which allows you to assess a number of different opportunities. Most account managers and sales managers find that the 80-20 rule applies in their business, that it's not possible to resource all opportunities you see on your territory or your team's territories, and that we need to set priorities and take decisions about which ones are the low-hanging fruit and which ones are the more profitable opportunities. This template helps us to do that. It's a way of looking at different opportunities, as you can see through here, with a rating and scoring system based on a weighting factor here. It's graphed below here, and it's a dynamic spreadsheet, so that if we were to change some of these numbers, you will actually see the graph below changing as those are changed. And it allows us to assess comparisons across the opportunities. The numbers themselves, in absolute terms, don't mean very much, but they do mean something when they're compared with each other. And that's why opportunity 1 looks on the face of it against these criteria as the most attractive of the 4 options that we're looking at. Just backing up to the previous tab, the SWOT grid, in this case we have an empty version because you would need to insert the factors you were going to use to assess your own strengths and weaknesses vis-a-vis competition. But again, quite straightforward to enter some data, and immediately you'll see that the graph responds, and you can look at total scores here to see, relatively speaking, where you have a competitive advantage or a competitive vulnerability.